Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand what happens when your Lagna Lord or the Ascendant Lord or the first house Lord is in the third house of your horoscope. See, when your Lagna Lord is in the third house of a horoscope, it has significant implications on your personality, on your efforts, communication, and karma. See, this is a very dynamic placement. The person would become very action oriented, and the person would have some communicative life path. And of course, it depends upon the sign aspects and the planets involved in this placement. But yes, there are some good general predictions on this particular placement, that is your Lagna Lord sitting in your third house. See, the Lagna or Ascendant is a sign rising on the eastern horizon at your birth time. Means when you took birth, the time, if anybody observes in the eastern direction, then whatever sign is rising, because in the 12 zodiac signs, every 1.5 hour or 2 hours, the sign changes in the eastern direction. Let us say you born at 5 o'clock and I saw in the eastern direction and I saw Sagittarius. And after 2 hours, I would see the next sign, another sign, right? And after 2 hours, another sign I would see in the eastern direction. That is the rising sign at that particular time. So the Lagna Lord is the ruling planet of that particular sign. Okay, if it is Sagittarius rising, then Jupiter is your Lagna Lord. So basically the Lagna Lord represents yourself, your body, your personality, your life direction, your vitality, your decision making, all this. Now, third house in the Vedic astrology indicates your communication, your writing skills, means how you write, and also your courage, your initiative, your younger siblings, your short distance travels, your hands, arms, your skills, basically, right? Third house represents your skills for sure, and your efforts and the willpower. Also, to some extent, the media, the art, these things. Now, when your Lagna Lord is in the third house, you would have very strong communication skills. The native is very much communicative, very expressive basically, and the native is able to articulate the things nicely. That is the fundamental prediction. And the native can excel in writing and also teaching, public speaking, journalism, media, and even marketing as well. So it may have the native may have a very powerful voice or unique communication style that is very much expected. And also the native would be very much courageous and action oriented. So the natives are not afraid to take initiatives. And the natives would be bold in personal and professional life as well. So the native would likely face life through personal effort rather than relying on luck or others. He would put a lot of personal efforts to rise in his or her life. And whether the native would like traveling or not, it doesn't matter. The native would frequently go on short distance travels. So the native may have a very dynamic lifestyle with frequent movement, whether the native would like it or not. And the short distance travels play an important role in his career, on his spiritual growth as well. And the native could also indicate local leadership or influence some community, at least in his or her life. Wherever he goes, at least he would influence some group of people for sure, because his Lagna Lord is in the third house. Another thing is the native would have influence of siblings. So relationship with younger siblings becomes very much important in his or her life. So the nature of the relationship, whether it is supportive relationship or it's a strained relationship, it depends upon the aspect on this particular Lagna Lord sitting in the third house. So the siblings may play a very karmic role in the personal life journey of the native. And one more important thing is, whenever Lagna Lord is sitting in the third house, if other planetary positions are not dominating this particular placement, generally they would not dominate because it is the Lagna Lord. So the native would be definitely a self-made and independent person. So the native relies on personal effort and courage to achieve success rather than anything in the life. And one more thing is, the native is may not you know he the native generally build his or her life through hard work and skills. That is for sure, right? Hard work and skills, they believe in this. So by that the native would become an entrepreneur also, or someone who creates his own path in the life, in his or her life. He likes that. He wants to create his or her own path in the life. And also the native would be very, very skill oriented, or he would choose a very skill oriented profession, because see, third house represents hands and talents, your skills. So this particular person may be skilled in arts, music, crafts, sports, programming, all this, right? So hands and talents, because your Lagna Lord is directly sitting in the house of hands and talents. So definitely you would be a skill oriented person, and you would choose a skill oriented profession. So the native would be often passionate about refining a particular skill to achieve mastery. The native would believe in mastery and achieving in mastery. He would always refine a particular skill in his life for sure. And it has some spiritual significance also, this particular placement, that is Lagna Lord sitting in the third house. So see here, Lagna Lord shows the soul's direction also. The third house is the house of karma, basically the house of efforts. So this placement indicates that effort and courage are the path to the spiritual growth. So sometimes it is seen in charts of those who practice mantras, martial arts, or yogic disciplines also. Generally, these are the themes: mantra chanting or martial arts or yogic disciplines, right? So of course the sign of the third house is very much important here. We'll discuss sign wise also in future. The planet aspecting the Lagna Lord is also very much important, because if Saturn is watching this one or Mars is watching this one, the significations would reduce, the efforts, right? Even though the native would put a lot of efforts, the outcome would reduce, the outcomes would reduce. So because Saturn and Mars aspects are always malefic, irrespective of they are functionally benefic or malefic to a particular ascendant. And if Jupiter aspect is present, whether Jupiter is functionally malefic or benefic, Jupiter's aspects are always good. So if Jupiter aspect is on this Lagna Lord, then it is a bit beneficial. So conjunctions also matter, whether this Lagna Lord sitting in the third house is in conjunction with any other planet, and the dasha and antadashas that the native would experience in his life also matters, right? So the positives are generally excellent communication skills, a kind of bold and independent nature can be observed in the native, and the native is definitely a skill oriented, talented, and self-made person, right? Self-made person. And challenges generally with this placement are struggles with overconfidence. The native would have some overconfidence or a kind of aggressive communication, or the native may face sibling related issues if some malefic planet is aspecting the Lagna Lord sitting in the third house. So that's a karmic debt basically. And a kind of restlessness or excessive multitasking is another challenge that the native would face. The native would try to do multiple things at a time, a kind of excessive multitasking that would make the native very much restless, So these are the fundamental predictions of Lagna Lord sitting in the third house, but based on the sign and the aspects and the conjunctions, the nature would change definitely. And in the Navamsha chart also, how this particular Lagna Lord sitting in the third house is sitting in the Navamsha. What is the dignity of the Lagna Lord in the Navamsha, right? The dignity of D1 Lagna Lord in the D9 is also important to whether this particular placement is completely giving the results or not, to observe that. So thanks for watching this video.